Hello everyone, welcome back. This is RandoGEEK. We have 3 updates for you here. The first one is AT&T, then we'll be talking about T-Mobile, and then Disney+. Links for all 3 articles will be provided for you down below in the description. I have also included timestamps, so this way, if you do not have the time to sit through all 3 of these updates, you can go ahead and choose which update is more meaningful and useful for you by looking for that time frame based on the story of your interest. Please do me a favor. Before you leave this video today, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing and don't forget to turn on your notification bell as we do videos like this every day and you don't want to miss an update because it could be something relevant to your interest. Also, I do have referral links. So if you're looking for wireless service with either Visible, Metro by T-Mobile, or US Mobile, you can save yourself some money by using those referral links and you'd be helping out the channel, which I would greatly appreciate. So let's get into it. So the first update here, which I thought was interesting, which is why we're talking about this, I think if you're a customer and you use AT&T, or if you use any of these carriers to be exact, I think you might be tired of getting robocalls sometimes. Some of us have certain numbers that we may have signed up, may have been given by signing up with one of these carriers. Let's say AT&T in this example, because they're the ones that are helping in this area. Let's say we signed up and, we were given a crappy number, a number that was used for either business or was put on a spam list for whatever reason. You're constantly being bombarded and it could get on your nerves. AT&T and TransUnion are trying to alleviate some of that problem. So I like this. Now, AT&T did an update, I think it was late last year, where they were able to show the business name along with the business logo, which kind of gave users a confidence to pick up the phone and have a little bit of a better idea of who it is that's actually calling them if they didn't recognize the number in itself. So what they're doing now is they're taking a step forward and going beyond that. They're going to be showing, of course, the company name and logo, but now they're also going to be showing why they're calling. So this is cool because if you constantly get these calls, you're now going to understand what they want from you. So if you don't want to pick up, you don't have to. So if it's a doctor's appointment, it's going to say appointment scheduled or something like that. Or if it's a creditor, payment due, something of that nature. And, I believe their phone number is going to have to be verified in order for it to show that. Otherwise, it'll probably just be detected as spam. And it may not always be helpful in the beginning. It might take some time for all this to kind of get figured out. And there's probably going to be some ways for companies to dance around this and disguise and pretend that they're calling for one reason or another. I'm not sure exactly how AT&T and TransUnion are going to be able to identify every single thing, but nonetheless, I think this is cool. It can be useful. I know there's times when I get those, fake auto scam calls and it's annoying. And, I can tell that they're scam calls because they're all coming from ridiculous numbers. Some of them are coming from cell phone numbers. It's they're bad. Some of them, they don't even try to do this properly. They're just desperate for anyone to fall for it that's not looking at the number and just answers and gives their information away. Most of us are not going to do that. But nonetheless, this is pretty cool. I think if you're someone that's sick of being spammed with junk calls and robocalls, this is kind of cool. They're saying that 73%, so TransUnion did a survey, and it looks like 73% of the consumers that took that survey said that they would be likely to answer calls if the caller's name and logo were displayed. So now with businesses displaying the reason for why they're calling, such as a delivery service, an upcoming visit, refill reminder, they think that many more people will feel confident answering those calls. And, it's just better for everyone. They won't be so frustrated when receiving those calls and not answering. They're saying 50 billion and 55 billion calls each year receive robocalls. So 50 billion and 55 billion calls were robocalls. So that's crazy. And this according to Umail. I don't know if you guys use that, but Umail is a voicemail service which offers some free stuff, some good free services where you can kind of get like a voicemail to text on a few. I think it's like maybe 50 voicemails. You can see who's calling and why. And they do, for the most part, show the business logo, not always. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought this was interesting. That's why we're talking about it here. So that's our first update. Next up, we have an update regarding T-Mobile. T-Mobile has officially killed the T-Mobile app. So if you were still using the T-Mobile app, it's done. You're now going to be forced to use the T-Life app, whether you like it or not, according to T-Mobile. They've been pushing this for a while. We knew it was coming. And basically, the T-Life is just a rebranded, refreshed version of the T-Mobile app rolled into T-Mobile Tuesdays, all in one. It's a way for T-Mobile to advertise their products and services, make money off of you while making money off of you. So you go in to say pay your bill or check your data, and then they try to push some type of product on you, whether to have you maybe upgrade to a more expensive premium plan or to maybe try to tempt you into purchasing something you don't really need, like a trip to, Bermuda or something that you really can't afford. So nonetheless, this is what's happening. Customers are probably going to be annoyed by it, but I guess we'll get used to it because we don't really have a choice. So that's what's going on with this. And again, it's no shocker. I've talked about this in updates before. I'm sure you see it all over the place. And yeah, unfortunately, I wish they didn't do that. I wish they didn't force customers to use the T-Life app. I wish they would have kept the original T-Mobile app just because some people really get turned off by advertisements, and it's enough to aggravate people that they may never use the app. They may now only sign in through their web link, through the T-Mobile website on their web browser just to avoid seeing ads. So all this can kind of backfire. Not many are probably going to deal with it, but there's going to be a handful that really are frustrated. They're the irritated type to not click on that app or ever use it. So it really doesn't serve as much purpose as they're hoping, in my opinion. But then again, you never know. There are some that might take advantage of it. Again, you can use your T-Mobile Tuesday. You're going to get your T-Mobile Tuesdays through that app. So if you want your freebies, I guess you'll click on it, and they know that. So I don't know. That's our second update. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is some cord-cutting news here, Disney Plus. So I just want to bring this up. I want to update you in case you track the usage of cord cutting and what's happening with customers and the retention and whatnot. So Disney Plus has reported the loss of 700,000 subscribers in the first quarter of 2025. Now, interestingly enough, they are still profitable. Now, the first thing you think of is when you see that first headline, lost 700,000 subscribers, is automatically like, whoa, that's a lot. And guess what? They lost that at the end of 2024, it looks like. So that is like the weirdest time to lose it because that's when a lot of customers actually take advantage of promotions and deals. But I guess what happened is, according to Disney, they don't seem worried about it. They actually seem like they're actually relieved that it wasn't more. So apparently they've expected this. They knew that a lot of customers would be leaving because of, the promotional offers that they were giving out to customers had expired. So they're saying that the actual results were in line with what they were typically expecting to happen. But nonetheless, that tells me how little interest customers have in paying for services on regular. And it also tells me that customers are very bored easily. So customers that are using Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu Plus, they've seemed to, realize that, now that they've cut the cord, and if they were on cable left, now they see that they have this opportunity to pay for one service for a month. When the promotion ends, they can go on another service, and then they can always come back, because sometimes streaming services will offer you some incentive to come back. This isn't always the case. Many times, once you get a deal, you can't get that same deal again. So that is true. But I think that customers are also very bored easily. So when they get sick of one service, they bounce to another service, and then they come back to the same service, and then they leave again. And this is probably why Disney Plus is not too worried, because they feel like this is like a trend that they've probably seen happening for a while now, and they just predict that this is the type of thing that will happen. However, at the end of the day, the one confidence that cable used to have was that they could lock customers in. At some point, they're going to have a hard time, streaming services, retaining these customers. They're going to have to do something to keep them locked in, which means they're going to have to lower their prices or offer an incentive that strikes the customer enough to want to stay, to want to continue to pay on a monthly basis and not leave. That can be difficult. And they're also going to have to keep their library fully stocked. They're going to have to keep customers engaged, which is something that Netflix has a very difficult time doing, in my opinion. Netflix will offer some good shows. They'll add a bunch of new things, movies, programs, Netflix originals, all that good stuff. But then they'll take away like 5 things that people want to see, something that you want to see. So that's the problem with Netflix, and that's kind of the problem with a lot of these services. They're going to constantly have to keep growing their inventory and keeping customers engaged. As where cable didn't have to do that. They had you locked in with a bundle. You had home internet, you had your wireless service, you had cable, and you were stuck. And customers were miserable, but they would stay because they didn't want to break up the family, right? They didn't want to lose, because if you cut one service, then you'd pay more on another. And if other people in your household were using that, that's how they got you. They locked you in. Not so much with streaming services. You have a lot more flexibility, and customers are taking advantage of that, is what I'm trying to say. But ultimately, these streaming services are going to hurt if they can't retain customers long enough to make enough money. They're going to have to reduce prices further, and then they're not going to be as profitable. And then what are they going to say? They're going to probably start doing exactly what cable does. That's what I think. Ultimately, this is what this tells me. They're not worried. They're still adding a lot of customers. Yeah, they are, for now. But for how long? How long before more customers continue to pop off because they're not getting the same promotional discount that they had when they first signed up, or that the content is boring them as well? People will just stop paying altogether, right, and using free services. Now, I don't know. You can let me know what you think down below. Am I on to something here? Am I off? I mean, there's nothing like having the freedom to be able to bounce around. If you're sick of Disney Plus this month, you can put it on pause. You don't always have to, cancel. There's a lot of these services will let you pause for $3 a month, which is not a bad deal. I think Netflix does that. They let you pause. You don't have to cancel, so you don't lose your space, and you won't have to pay more if you have a decent deal. That's really the only thing that they can do, unless they lose you altogether. But it looks like people are completely unsubscribing here. The 700,000, that's unsubscribed. So, to me, that's a lot. And I think that it has to do with a couple of things, and those things are what I mentioned before. Customers are bored. They know that they can get away with leaving, and it's going to be difficult for services like Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, to keep customers engaged if they're not constantly keeping up with adding more to their library and also being competitively priced as well. That's another thing. They keep going up with prices, not down. So I don't know. We'll see. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.